It was love at first sight when she walked through that door. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have a care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her mine. 2 days passed before I made that call. I was hoping for the best, but I was ready to fall. At 3 a.m. we were still on that phone. We both agreed that we were tired of being alone. Our first date led to our first kiss. I closed my eyes and tasted her sweet lips. Love's first touch sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her mine. Dropped to one knee and I asked for her hand. Please be my woman and I'll be your man. One true love sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. I can't believe that I made her mine.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans where all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter where you're going. It just matters that you're here right now and you consider yourself a Middle American. I am honored to be with you tonight. Sorry I missed last week. The internet went out at my house. So I don't know what happened, but we didn't have internet. I had to go use cell stuff on my telephone and I don't even know what the heck happened. So so we are here today and I just want to say thank you very much for your patience. Can I tell you how much I appreciate you guys being here today? So this show is a show about Middle Americans for Middle Americans by a Middle American. I do this show every week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central. So everybody across the nation can join if they want, or they can watch it later. It goes on the YouTube. It's on Facebook. I don't know what else it's on. Who knows? I'm not an expert at this stuff. I don't do this for fun. I just do this to get a lot of stuff off of my chest. And if anybody watches, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate somebody watching. But it's not necessarily a requirement. But anyway. So anyway. What are we talking about today? So, what had happened was I was minding my own business, doing my social media thing on Facebook every once in a while, as a person, not as Mickey in the Middle or anything like that. And I made some comments about socialism and about how socialism is a bad thing. And an acquaintance of mine, who will remain nameless, fired off a message and fired off some posts and tried to get me tried to get me. I think he's trying to get me or he's trying to bait me. So anyway, this person is a philosophy major, right? So I don't know what else he majors in, right? But he obviously is a smart individual. And I got to give him credit for being smart and going to school for a really long time and getting a worthless degree in philosophy. Because philosophy is great philosophically, but I am a middle American philosopher. I don't need to know Kant or to know any of the great other philosophers that are out there and what they think. It's good to know what their perspective is. And don't get me wrong, I've read a lot about philosophy and I've read a lot about stuff, but I don't have a degree in that. I got a degree in workforce education and development, and I didn't get that until I was almost 40 years old. Uh, 35, 40. I don't know. It's not even really important. I did it because I thought I was going to get kicked out of the Air Force. And when I was getting kicked out of the Air Force, I figured, hey, a college degree was going to be pretty handy. So, but I went and took psychology courses and I went and took the philosophy courses and I went and took all the courses that I was required to graduate and a couple extras. And I've been a student of education my entire life. So, anyway, this person starts writing that old people and young people have a different definition of socialism. So that bothered the crap out of me because I don't give a rat's ass about the new philosophy of socialism. And we're going to get into that in just a second. But here's what I got to say. I don't care what all of the stupid people that are born after me think about socialism because the definition doesn't matter. And I have said this time and time again in private conversations about definitions. Definitions don't matter. What matters is the actions that happen that define a set of circumstances that you now have to deal with. So it doesn't matter what you call it. And this came from looking at doctors. And every time that you go in, a doctor goes, hey, what is the history? What is your history? Did you smoke? Did you eat too much? Did you have any exercise? Did you break any bones? Have you had any operations? Have you done anything like that? And whatever. So you answer all of these questions, and it is totally irrelevant and it's not germane to the conversation that you're having with your doctor because your physical health right now is your physical health right now. So that when you go in, you can call it whatever you want. You can go, hey, it's hypertension, it is anemia, it is chronic heart disease, it is all the other. Who cares? I don't care what you call all that shit. I only matter what the circumstances are that are in existence for me to be in the doctor's office. And that's the way that it is with socialism and fascism and the constitutional republic of the United States of America and all these other things. It doesn't matter what you call it because it is what it is. So you can call it whatever you want to call it. But the simple fact of the matter is that the set of circumstances is the most important thing. So when I say that, it doesn't matter who calls what. And this person was trying to get me to say what was what. Because is the government of the United States socialist? Yeah, I said, hey, look here, we have some socialist policies in the United States of America. Socialist policy is something that controls the means of production and controls the distribution of the goods. And that is, I don't know, roads. I use roads as an example because we all contribute to roads in one way or the other. And all the money goes to the government. The government decides what to do with it. They hire a contractor. Contractor puts in the roads, and everybody uses that. And then that's the end of it. The government maintains the roads. So private entities don't maintain roads, right? The government does that. Electrical systems. The government has more to do with electrical systems than private corporations, although some private corporations own them. Sometimes a cooperative owns those. But the government runs police. The government runs fire department. We all pay into that. We all benefit from that. So that is a form of socialism because everybody puts in, the government controls the means of production of those things and then distributes those to everyone. So that is a set of circumstances. I don't care what you want to call it. It's a set of circumstances. You can call it socialism if you want. But in other governments, in other countries, the way that it works is when the government controls the means of production and the distribution of the goods as a result of that production, then that is defined as socialism. Now, socialism is not, as people are defining it now, government programs like healthcare or education or anything else. Because as long as you can have a private component of that and people have the ability to go out and do things on their own without government interference, then that means that you have a government interfering with a free market system. I use Cabot, Arkansas as an example. Cabot, Arkansas has a great recreation department. They're fantastic. They're the best I've seen ever. They got softball fields, softball fields, soccer fields, basketball courts, volleyball courts. They've got a 150,000 square foot game time at the grounds where they have, what is it, 8 basketball courts, 17 volleyball courts. I mean, get turned into 30 pickleball courts or something like that. It's crazy. But here's the deal is, when they put that in, the government is now sticking its nose into private businesses' area. So if a government opens up a gym, that government is competing directly with a free market, and everybody else that owns a gym is now competing directly against the state. If they open up a water park, do you really think anybody else is going to open up a water park if the government opens up a water park and the government can give it to people cheaper? And then they don't have the liabilities, the same liabilities, the same insurance, and the same everything because the government's run it. So anyway, I digress. That is a perfect example of the government controlling the means of production in the United States of America. And when you do it in a country, you end up with like East Germany or Czechoslovakia or Slovenia or Russia or China or all of these other, Cuba, Venezuela. I can go on and on and on, where the government runs things and they control the means of production because they're the ones that are pulling all of the strings. This is important because the government controls the means of production. So I don't care what you want to call it. The government controlling the means of production and the distribution of goods is socialism. Bad. Bad. Because then we don't have a choice. We don't have the option because we're either competing directly against the government or the government's doing it anyway without us. So here's to that. I don't want the government controlling everything. With that being said, let's talk about fascism for a minute. Fascism is kind of worse because fascism means that it's privately controlled, private businesses, private people own the businesses, but then the government tells them all what to do. That's what happened in Italy. That's what happened in all across the European nations during World War II when fascism took off. Germany was a classic example of neo-Nazi fascism, socialistic shit, whatever the hell's, right? But the government controls the private businesses. So that means that the private businesses that are in bed with the government succeed because the government backs them, but nobody else can compete against them because the government is backing. Once that happens, nobody else can compete against. Why would the government doesn't favor anybody else, but they're only going to favor just a few. There's a problem in that. Because when the government starts favoring a business, then all of a sudden you have this situation where nobody else wants to compete, and then the business is supported by the government. That means that they don't have to do a good job because the government's going to support them regardless. And if they become a failing business, there's no way to not have them supported. So they are a living corpse of a business because the government is going to take money from the people and give it to this business just to keep them alive because the government can't fail. You notice that the government hates to fail, that they do it all the time. I'm not talking about anybody in the DMV or the tax system or the regulatory system or the fact that we have uh, rules and regulations about cutting hair in Arkansas. You got to go to school for a year in order to cut hair in Arkansas. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. It has to do with chemicals. Sure does. All right. So it doesn't matter what the definition is, it just matters what the circumstances are. In the United States of America, now they have this thing where social programs are not considered socialism. And they're not. It's a safety net. But when you want to apply that to everybody, you go, hey, look here, we need to have a safety net that provides food for everybody. Well, that's awesome. But how's that going to work? Does the government control all of that? Or does the government just control a little bit of it? Does the government control the food and just give it to the small people? Or, because here's what the deal is, if the government starts playing favorites and they go, oh, only poor people can get food, right? Rich people have to provide for themselves. Now, all of a sudden, that's not economic distribution across the board. That's picking favorites. You're going, hey, look here. The government's going to take care of poor people and give them food, but the government's not going to give rich people food. How's that fair? See, because that's what happens in a system where the government starts picking and choosing winners and losers. And they do that, right? So everybody remember the Save the Globe when the government started taking millions and millions and billions of dollars and investing in solar energy and wind farms and different types of green energy. And all those companies failed. All of those companies failed. The government took your money and invested it in all these companies, and all these companies failed over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So all of those companies no longer exist. Well, I'm sure that a couple of them still exist. But all those companies failed, and your government took your money and started playing favorites and started saying, hey, look here, we're going to do wind and we're going to do solar and we're going to do geothermal. And all those companies failed. I hate it when the government wastes money. I hate it more when the government chooses and picks winners and losers. Because if the government picks you, then that's great for you. But if the government doesn't pick somebody else, that's horrible for the other person. Like I said before with fascism, when the government starts picking winners and losers, only a few people win, but everybody else loses. Guess what happened? Guess what happened? Our government is starting to invest in businesses. I got to find this on my phone. There's a picture on my phone. I don't want memories. How do I do this? How do I get pinned, recently saved, favorites? I don't want albums. I don't know how my phone works. What happened to my, I just want pictures. Library, select library items. It says, I don't know how my phone works. Collections, albums, pinned, people, pets, shared album, days, videos, live photos. I don't know how to find my pictures on my phone. But the government recently invested in 5 different corporations. Of them is Intel. So I will talk about Intel. So this is critically important. Read this with me. The Trump administration's unusual step to make the U.S. government one of the largest shareholders in a major Silicon Valley company raises important questions about how the partnership will influence other businesses and affect markets, experts say. In a rare move, the United States has invested in a private company that's not in immediate danger of failing or dramatically impacting the economy. On August 22nd, Donald Trump announced the federal government had obtained a 10% stake in Intel. That's dangerous. That is epically dangerous. The government now has said, I have picked a computer chip maker, and that's going to be my winner. And I don't care what anybody else says. Those are going to be my winners and my losers. And that is bullshit because the government says, hey, they're too valuable to fail, and it's a security issue. You can make any excuse that you want about why the government would be taking billions of dollars and investing it in a company. But the fact of the matter is now the government has chosen Intel at the exclusion of all of the other chip makers in the United States of America, or somebody who's in their garage right now inventing the next chip that's going to blow Intel away. What about NVIDIA, right? Another huge company that makes chips in the United States. Does the government invest money in them? Is that next? Are they next? And then that means that you and me are having our tax money taken away from us, and we're giving it to Intel. We don't need the government favoring companies taking billions of our dollars and giving it to a private company. It's in the name of safety. You can make an excuse for anything. Are they going to invest in my friend's t-shirt store? Are they going to give them money? Or is this only for important people that have billions of dollars to make sure that they don't fail? You remember when the banks failed in 2008? Right. So the banks failed. And in order to save them, the government gave them lots of money and restructured their debt and gave them a lot, the ability to make a lot of loans to a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Saved them. But what about the automobile industry? Now, the automobile industry, remember when the automobile industry had to be saved and the government gave them all money? The only company that I know that paid them back was Ford Motor Company. I don't even know how much money Ford took, but I know that Ford took money. They didn't want to take money. The government made them take money, and then Ford paid them back. I don't know whether GM did that. GM might have paid them back. Who knows? But all I'm saying is when the government starts picking winners and losers, and when the government starts saying that we are going to take care of these industries, you know who they're never taking care of? Us. They're not taking care of middle Americans. They're saving the big guys, but I don't know how you save us. All I'm saying is that when the government starts favoring companies, that's socialism. At minimum, it's fascism, because when you think that Intel's not going to be influenced by the government, who is lousy at just about everything except war, now all of a sudden you have a situation where the Intel board now has to answer to the United States government. And if the United States government doesn't like it, what's the United States government going to do? Are they going to sell all their shares, or are they going to buy the rest of the company? And then the company will belong to the United States government. This is bad. This is bad. It's crazy to think how, on one hand, Trump can go, I'm anti-socialist, and then in the next instant, he goes out and has the government buy part of a company, which now has undue influence over that company and affects every other company in that industry for as far as the eye can see. The constitutional republic in which we live is vitally important that the government stays out of the people's business. And when I say stays out of the people's business, I mean stays out of the people's business as in guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States and the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is the Fourth Amendment. Don't tread on me. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. And let's see. No, listen. Your government's supposed to leave you alone. Your government's supposed to be leaving you alone. By the way, digital currency and digital ID, bad ideas. They can track everywhere you go and everything that you do. And cash can't be king anymore. They're trying to take away your cash so that if you give it to a bum on the street, you just can't give a bum. I gave somebody. This person is not a bum. He's an old person without a dog. He's I saw him today and I pulled over and I gave him a $20 bill because that person is obviously hurting. How are you supposed to give somebody in need a $20 bill if you have a digital currency? See, the government wants to take over more and more and more and more and more of your life. That's the nature of government. Is they want more power, they want more things, they want more control. That's why they have 100,000 rules and regulations out there. You know what a rule and regulation by the government means? That means that you are now able to go to jail. You're able to go to jail by force on every single law that has been written by every single government in the United States of America. So if I go to the next town over, they control me by the laws that they write. They control me by the taxes that they take from me. They control us more and more and more. And now they're starting to buy businesses. So that means that they're going to control us by rules, regulations, and taxes. And now they're going to control businesses by getting larger and larger stakes in businesses. This is bad policy. It's bad for middle America. It's absolutely horrible. We live in a constitutional republic, which basically says we are free and the government can't interfere with the way that we're doing things. And that's the difference between socialism, fascism, and constitutional republic in the United States of America. In socialism, politics and businesses are intertwined. So much so, it's right there in the definition. Although I said don't use the definition, we don't have to use the definition to know that in that circumstance, the government controls the means of production, which comes from businesses, and controls the distribution of goods, which come from businesses. And when that's controlled by the government, that's bad. In fascism, you might say that it's a private business, but if it's still controlled by the government, that means that that control over that business is effective from the time that goods come in to the time goods go out, to where they're going and how they're distributed, to a constitutional republic which says, leave us the hell alone. Inside the Constitution of the United States, it says, ensure domestic tranquility. Well, if the government is providing the tranquility or controlling the tranquility, could we ever have peace? Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, right? So if they're ruling if they're ruling us by rules, regulations, taxes, and now business, that's bad for freedom. That's bad for Americans. That's bad for all of us. And I'm not talking about social programs. Social programs are totally different. Social programs are needed because we have people that need them. We all contribute to them. And then the needy. But have you noticed that the needy group is getting larger and larger and larger and larger? So as the needy group gets larger and larger and larger and larger, that means that middle Americans are getting squeezed out more and more and more. And affluent Americans are also getting squeezed out more and more and more and more. And who doesn't want to be more affluent? That's one of the great things about being free is, hey, look here, you can get comfortable in the spot that you're living, or you can continue to advance up the ladder and make more money and do more things and be more creative and become more affluent as you grow older. When I was young, we were poor. When I was middle-aged, we were middle poor. And then we got a little bit better. And when we got on the upper middle class, where I'm maintaining my middleness. So anyway, that's what I got to say about socialism, fascism, and the constitutional republic. Constitutional republic is the only way to guarantee that you are free to pursue the things you want to pursue without government interference. And the more the government gets involved with your life, the more it becomes an undefined socialism and an undefined fascism, because the more the government bothers you and gets up in your business and controls more and more, the less free you become. And that's about all I got to say about that. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show. So I just want to let you know I greatly appreciate you showing up here most Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. I know that I'm the only one that talks about these topics, but that's okay. Most people, that's why I don't watch the news a lot. apparently Rob Reiner died. That's sad. I really liked his movie, The Princess Bride, A Few Good Men. I think he did When Harry Met Sally, maybe. Uh, Man, I hated to hear that. So, he's politically different, but that's the great thing about being in the United States of America is you're allowed to be politically different. Having political discourse that is disagreement means that we're at least still talking about it. So, God bless Rob Reiner's family. Praying for him. And Trump said something stupid like he always does. Uh, that guy, I don't even know what he said. I have no idea. I just heard that a bunch of people blew up about it. So I don't know what Trump said, but I heard it was insensitive and stupid. But it doesn't surprise me because he says stupid shit all the time. So, but anyway, Mickey in the Middle, Wednesday nights, most Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, right here where I am, right there where you are. You guys take it easy. Have a good time. Be good. I love you, and I will see you next Wednesday. Oh, wait a minute. That's going to be new Christmas Eve. I'm not going to be here next week. So you guys be good. You take care, and I will see you after the new year. You guys be good. Take care. Love you. Bye bye.